Today's little project, we're going to turn this into two of these. Wojnarski back again, welding fabrication video for you guys. Today is February 20th, 2025. Today's forecast is partly cloudy, about 59 degrees, high of 63 and low of 49. So that's it. Cloudy as you could tell. So I'm not really sure what these are though. It's like a little stepper thing. I guess to go up a little door or ramp or something like that, but just got to make two of them. And theirs got like a rounded radius, where ours is going to have a sharper radius, but it doesn't have to be exact as long as they really need the inside measurement to be the same, so, or close to that. So that's what we're going to go for. So we'll start by measuring it, and measure it in a couple spots from the front and to the back, but you got to make sure you measure. Sometimes if you measure up like that, it's bent over a little, so you really want to try getting to the bottom. But I think if we're close, it looks like 34 and a hair over a quarter, almost 5/16, but up here it's about 34, not quite 5/16. Let's see, like a 32nd. So I'll shoot for 34 and 5/16, and I'll just grind it down that extra little bit. So we'll start measuring that out. And this doesn't have to be quite exact, but that's 4 and 1. Yeah, so 4 inches this way, 1 inch down. So we'll cut it 5 inches by, what was it, 34 and 5/16. And then we'll start measuring that out. But we got to cut 2, so we'll make 2. So to cut it, I'm going to have to cut a 5-inch strip this whole way. But we don't have a shear, unfortunately, that big. So I'll have to plasma cut it. And we'll just draw it out and cut it. So we'll show you that. So yeah, shear would be awesome to have. Just plop this thing in. I mean, we got one to cut this side, but not that side. But anyway, for my plasma, I mark it 5 inches that way, but then I'll come back a quarter and a 32nd of an inch. That's my standoff for my thing. When I put a straight edge, I'll put a straight edge right on that side, and hook up everything and do a little chop with this thing. There's plasma, and then I'll do the same thing on this side for my 2 pieces, 1 piece here, 1 piece here. So get the plasma set up and ready to chop it. All right, got our straight edge and everything hooked up. Luckily someone didn't clean it up, so it was easy to get out and I didn't have to unwind everything. But put it right on my one side, so I'll come over a quarter plus a 32nd of an inch. That's just my set off though with what this is. So this will sit like that. If you could see, hang on, like that to the center of that cutting tip. So your setup is probably going to be different unless you have Hypertherm Power Max 85 with this style tip, because if you use a different style tip, it's going to be different. Hook my ground up a little differently so I get a good ground, and we should be ready to cut though. I've put it right on each end, clamp down, just make sure it's clamped down, otherwise it'll fall, and should be ready to cut. Make sure you got your safety stuff on, shield or glasses. Not much to it, just chop it, clamp it, and chop it again. Should I be the nice guy and clean that up, wrap everything up, or should I leave it out like everybody else? Let's see, but this is what I wanted to say before too, is when I cut this was the piece I wanted to cut out, so I make sure I put my flat bar on my good piece, like right here. Instead of, I could have put it on this piece and cut from this side, but if I would have slipped up, it would have went into my good piece, if that makes sense. So I like to put the flat bar on my good piece and cut that way, so if I slip a little or whatever, then it's on a junky piece, so it doesn't matter. So that's a little good tip for you guys. But there's our little standoff, and double check our measurement, see how it works. Usually I could get within like a 32nd, and right there I'm like 5 inches exactly, and on a hair over on this side, like a 64th maybe, if you could see that. Hang on. Yeah, just a hair over. So grinder should fix that, but it's not too big of a deal. And that should be hopefully close to. Clean them up with the flap disc, and then we'll cut it the other way to size, and we'll go from there. All right, all deburred with the flapper disc and ready to break. This one was just a hair over on the one side too, like a 64th over, but that's that. Yeah, if I had a shear, that would have been, probably would have been ready to weld everything already, but that's all right. Here you go. This is why I like to clean up all my work area every time I'm done with the job pretty much, because I can't even work over here. It's a mess, and it always is. It's a nice work table, but you can't even work on a thing. Unlike here, voila. Wonder why everybody likes to work over here now, right? The thing I have is this and this from my job I was working on. Now I want to mark these out 34 and 5/16, but you can kind of see on this one it's got a little bend in there, so I want to chop that end off if I can and measure 34 and 5/16 from here to there. So we'll see how much I could chop off. So I got to measure out 34 and 5/16, and it looks like I'll get away with cutting that little divot out, so that would be good. Bring you over to the shear and show you how convenient it is. I don't know how we don't have a big shear already, but we cut a lot of plate where it's worth it to have like a 4-foot or 6-foot shear. It just makes things so much easier. And I think I'm going for like 2, 3, maybe 4,000, but like $2,000 for decent ones. I don't know how well they work, but worth it to have, I think. Voila! That take like 30 seconds, a minute or something, where that what do you call it? Plasma cutter, it works, but it took like probably 10 times as long, or like 20 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that. I've been here for probably like 5 years or so, and that's like one tool that I would really like to have as a shear, because we cut a lot of stuff and it makes the cut so much nicer. Just one thing to think about. I think it would have paid for itself over and over again, but we'll see. Fingers crossed for the future, right? Now these are a hair over. They're about 34 and 5/16, so I'm gonna just take a little grind and deburr both sides, even though I deburred one side already, but just get it a little closer down, and I think that should be right on measurement. All right, so I marked my piece, 4 inches, and I just took a square, set it at 4, so all my measurements are the same. Went around to that side, and I'm gonna break it like this. Sorry, you're on a tripod if it looks weird. But break it up like that, if that makes sense. So I drew my lines on that side, because if I would have did it like this, that's the opposite. So diamonds are on the outside, and we'll get ready to start breaking it. So we'll get the brake set up, make sure this is in and out right, and I got to move that in a little bit. Looks like last thing that we broke was a little thicker, so I'm gonna lift that up and bring that back in a little bit. Pulling on that big handle and trying to line it up is usually a 2-person job, but I got it here, as you can see. I like to bring this in and out, the thickness of the metal, maybe just a little bit skinnier. That way it's a nice sharper break on it. And if you could see right down here, right on my line. And this is a little longer piece, so it's a little harder to do with just yourself. If I had another person, it would be a little easier. One person to tighten this and one person to hold that down, but I got it. So we're starting to get ready to break it. So I'll break it, but I think I got to go a little over 90. So I want to get my piece and double check over there. So it's a little hard to get the exact angle with the diamonds on there, but it doesn't have to be accurate as long as it's pretty close. And I just take my little angle finder thing and go like that, and I'll break that until I can eyeball that pretty close. So we'll get to it. Another thing with aluminum too, if you're breaking stuff a lot, like if you got to bend it and you're ordering your material like this, you kind of want to go with 3003 or like a 5000 series aluminum, I think, because if you went 6061 like flat bar, sometimes it'll crack, especially if you're going over 90 without heat. If you heat it up, a different story. But just a little tip for you. I could be a little off there, but double check, but I'm pretty sure just 6061. If you ordered a sheet of 6061 and tried doing that, it's possible it could crack. So little tip for you guys. Just taking my time, bending it a little bit at a time. I want to make sure I don't go overboard, because it's a lot easier to bend it a little bit more than overdo it and bend it back. So I'll show you one little trick I did when I was bending it. I bent it and I put this up here. I had my measurement with that thing, but I double checked it with that and got my degrees pretty good. And once I had this bent up, I just double checked that with the degrees. So it's like 60 to 65 degrees. And I just got it pretty close. And now I'm a little under, but I just want to double check it over here on the table and match it up with the other one. And we'll see how it is, because I'll rather under break it than over break it, because if I do too much, it'll be a little hard to get out, while right now it's a little easier to put it back in and go a little bit more. So I think we're pretty close though, where I think that's fine. It doesn't have to be super accurate. I think as long as they're both close, then they're happy with that, they said. And I think we're really, really close right there. So I think that's good enough. And I was about 65 degrees, so I'll just match the other one up to that and make them both the same. Then we'll add our little flat bar piece on the end, which they made their piece a little short. So not sure if we got to make our piece short like that or not. So we'll go from there. Yeah, that's one thing that could be questionable, but I don't think it's a big deal. See how theirs has a little gap underneath it like that. I don't know if something slides under it, which I don't think it does, but I'm gonna make the flat bar come out to there, and worst comes to worst, if they don't like it, I could put it in the notcher probably and notch it a little bit like that if I need to. Oh, I broke them both like that, and they should match up like that. Our degrees was pretty close. And I think that's pretty good with me. So I'll get ready to start making the flat bars, and we'll weld them on and cut them out and everything. So double check with it. This is a weird thing. It must be like 1/8 inch or something, because it's not 14 gauge. It's about 13. Let's double check with that. Yeah, it's not 14, but it's a little bit bigger than 13. Huh, or a little bit smaller. So find something that's close to that. Yeah, it's about 1/16 of an inch. So hopefully we find something. I found some. This is left over from a project we did. They had put little scratches on it, but I could put that on the inside. Same size as this stuff, or that other piece. So it's a little bit short this way. It's like a 32nd to a whatever. You could see that protruding a little bit, which should be fine, because it'll be a lot easier to cut them out of this than that sheet. And I could just lay that flat like that, trace my line up on the top like that, and I think it'll work. So we'll do that. So I cut 2 out, or trace 2 out like that, and I'll just have a little gap right over here to fill in, which ain't that big of a deal. That should be fine. So I'll cut that out for one piece, then I'll come back and trace the rest and do the same thing again. So I think that came out pretty good after I deburr it and round that corner and everything. It should be pretty good, I think. Same thing with that side. Now we'll just do the same for this. So I think I got them pretty good. Rounded the corners and everything, and I labeled them on which pieces are which. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So this will be 4. Sorry about that. And that should fit up pretty good. And it looks like they have their weld on the outside too, like that. Like it's not. I could have ground it down a little bit more, or cut it a little short so it's fitting half on, half off, and they could grind the weld down if they wanted, but that's not how they did with this, so it's not a big deal. So I think we're ready to start welding. Just cleaned up a little bit of the excess tools and stuff that I'm not using anymore. Get that out of my way, get the welder fired up and ready to go. Our Everlast is down for the count for now. We contacted customer support, and they think it might be a fan, which hopefully. So now we're using the Miller sinker wave. So that was our only one problem with this thing. This thing's been pretty good so far, going good for 2 years. So what do you call it? Their customer service is actually really good. Got back right away. They offered if we wanted to send the machine out, but it would take longer, or we could try troubleshooting it with them over the phone, and hopefully it's the fan, but we'll see. But they're sending a new fan out for us, so for now we're using that. I don't mind using this thing. I just hate the torch on this thing. It's just too big, bulky, and old. It's like a Anaconda. The thing's like You could stand it straight out like a stick. That's how stiff that thing is. It's annoying. But that's all right. It's only a torch. But this thing's workhorse too. This thing's been going as long as I'm going here. Probably longer than that. Good machine. Machine set up. Ready to start going. I'll probably end up time-lapsing some of this stuff. Maybe I'll just show you one of the fit-ups and we'll time-lapse the rest. But yeah, we're ready to start going. A little difficult trying to tack these on there because they're so small and it's aluminum. You can't fuse tack it. You gotta add filler kind of. So I'm using that fireball square to kind of butt it up like that and just put a couple tacks on it. So I kind of want to just make sure the part is clamped down before I tack the side on, just so I got no rock in it afterwards, and then just weld it up pretty much. Pretty simple. Just got to be a little careful. It's thin and you're getting towards the end, so a little thin, but I'm using 1/16 filler wire and just going lower with the amp, so just be careful. And yeah, not much to it really. I think they came out pretty good. One thing I like to do is wrap the corners on these. You're kind of hard to see a little bit, but I like to wrap the corners. Now just take a flat disc and grind that out a little. Just makes it a little stronger if you do that. Same thing over here. Kind of did the same thing. I'll just take a little flat disc, smooth that out. But I think it came out pretty good, I think. Not the best, not the worst. Same thing with that one. I went from this way to this way, which I don't like doing, but it was just easier because you got that little bit right there. When you're coming down to that, it's so hot by the time you get there that it's easy to melt that away, but it would have been better to go like this and come up like that, but I just wanted to keep the welds going the same direction. I guess if they are the same direction, yeah, that way. Oh, they are going the opposite direction, huh? Well, not a big deal, but anyway, that's what I like to do. So I'll just grind that down and hopefully they sit pretty flat and we'll see from there. All right, final product. Let me know what you think. Here we are. So put you right like that, I guess. Same length this way. Right? Same height. About that way. And it's bouncing up this way. So we're pretty good that way. When I test it, no wobble in it, even though it's easy to twist and whatever. Get that little twist out if you need to. About the same length this way, same height about. And see if there's any wobble. No wobble. So I think we're pretty good. What do you think? Not the best, not the worst. Here's some welds. This one might be a little better. And I ground down the bottoms right there after I wrapped it. Make it, I like to, hold on. So I kind of wrapped it in there. It just makes it a little stronger. Same thing up here. I kind of wrapped the corner a little bit. I just ground that down flat. Just adds a little strength to it. This weld came out not the best, not the worst. Not the best, not the worst. I think this one was a little better. And this one. So, I think that should work. And then if I need to grind that little slot down afterwards on this, I will, but I don't think I'll have to. And we'll guess I'll just have to do it if I have to. But I think it's pretty good. So let me know what you guys think. I would say quick little video, but I'm pretty sure it's probably like 20 minutes. I try making short videos that's like 10, 15 minutes tops. But when I show you guys all the little steps and everything, it takes a little bit longer. And not sure if you guys like that or not. Let me know if you want the videos to be a little bit shorter, and I'll try making them a little shorter for everybody. But hopefully you guys like it. It takes a little. Oop, I hit a button by accident. It takes a little longer to edit the videos, but it's not a huge deal to me. Hopefully you guys like that though. Quick little project for today. Just a couple hours. Probably took an hour each maybe to make these. Probably a little less though. And it would have took a little less if I didn't videotape everything. So hopefully you guys like that. And don't forget to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. I'm close to my 1,000 subscriber goal. Think I'm at 780 something at the time of this video, so we're getting there. Hopefully by next week or week after, hopefully we'll have it. But give it a like, comment, and subscribe, and see you guys on the next one. Chris Wojnarski, over and out. So now I'm probably end up editing this video on CapCut, so you won't get no cool music for my little final outro thing. You'll just hear me talking, because when I use their music, I end up getting a copyright strike some of their music, so hopefully you guys enjoy. Leftover sausage sandwich. Where'd you go? Right up there.